It's a T-model Lands crawler. It hasn't been started for 23 years. It was brought here on a truck and we just pushed her off, so we're hoping it'll go.
Got to be a challenge today to get it going.
Well, if it turns over and it's got fuel and oil, it'll go. There wasn't many of these crawlers that come to Australia.
No.
And they're very unique and very collectible.
putting on the show, Hamilton, and everybody involved. You've done a great job, and yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Everybody in the tractors.
Come a bit closer to the model.
You'll have to. Yeah, I'm just going to talk a bit tonight on the different models that were made over the years, which yeah, started obviously in about 1912 with their first model, the HL12. And from my collection of tractors, there's about 54 different models that I know of that came to Australia over those years. Yep, so yeah, from 21 to 26 was the HL12s, which was supposed to be made. And then 25 to 31 was the HR2s, the hopper cool ones. And then 28 to 29 was the HR4s. 29 to 35 was the HR5s and 6s. I made a rather large number of those. And then about 1932, which was the HM1, 20 horsepower, or 20 horsepower, or a J model known as today. And then, yeah, the J models, the pre-war 1935 to 36, they made, yeah, J models with guards, some had guards, some had no guards, and yeah, there's a few different versions of them.
Events like this just don't happen. It takes a team of dedicated people a lot of hours and a lot of time and quite a bit of effort to get it. We really need to thank our major sponsor, Hayward Ag. That's Darryl and Michelle Milano. Our hard-working rally committee. Darryl was coordinator. I said to Darryl, are you interested? And he said, Michelle will kill you. Fortunately, she's still talking to me. I don't know whether she's talking to Darryl. Alison Jenkins is our secretary and treasurer, as well as on the rally committee. She's a very busy girl. And her husband, Graham, has been here probably more days than there is in the week. Peter Dyson, David Bartlett's run the sleds, organised them, got them here, run the job. Done well. Bob Mitchell, Blake Brady, Darryl O'Flaherty, our publicity officers. Without them we wouldn't know about it. Mel Brickman, Lyle Road. Thank you. The registrations and the merchandise. And lastly, we shouldn't forget to thank the kitchen staff. The second thing is I've been asked, what's our number? How many did we get to? 121. I mentioned we had people from most of Australia here, but we didn't talk about those that have come the furthest. And I believe that Warren and Kim are pipped by about 3 Ks by Dale Mason. Toowoomba is a bloody long way. So, every rally, we give the odd award. And this rally, we're going to give an award for outstanding effort above and beyond. And it goes to Andrew Little. It's got both arrows, because I'm not sure he knows whether he's coming or going. Our other sponsor for this rally is Classic Tractor Restorations. So Dale has very generously supplied 3 trophies. Darryl and Dale went for a wander around this afternoon and picked 3 tractors to receive them. I'm going to get Dale up there to share the good news.
We just thought we'd do something from our business point of view for this special event. We have got 3 trophies up there. Right, this will be best original tractor, as in untouched, best looking, unmolested, tractor on site. And this one goes to Evan Malco with his HOV. There you go, buddy.
Thanks, mate.
Good on you.
Cheers, thank you.
Righto, best original restorations. It come down to a couple, but the winner of this one is Bill Robinson with his crawler. Congratulations, Bill.
Thanks, Dale, on the stamp. Thank you.
The best show tractor goes to Warren with his J-Model.
There you go, fella.
Thank you. Awesome, thank you. Thanks everyone for making us welcome down here. It's been great to come down and see everyone and put faces to names. It's been an adventure and thank you very much for having us.
Tonight, we are in the presence of royalty. We are in the presence of Bulldog royalty. With that, I'm going to invite the first speaker, Tim, to come and speak.
I don't know about royalty, but I'm a bit of a knockabout bloke, and I'd like to thank Hamilton and the people that organised this show to bring all those Bulldogs here. It's a credit to you guys for doing it and for everyone for putting in and coming, but it's a really, really good effort. Thanks very much. And I think that everyone should put your hands together for everyone. Now, there's a few characters, like they talk about royalty. Well, last night I was having a few beers with Daryl Milano and a Coke with Andrew Davidson. And they decided after we'd had a few, we should go to the nightclub in Hamilton. So off we go. Daryl gets dressed up with his tie and shirt, and I've got a tie and shirt on. And we get to the nightclub and the bloke goes, Andrew, you can't come in, you haven't got a tie. And Andrew goes, oh, hang on. So he goes over to me ute, grabs a pair of jumper leads, puts it around his neck, ties it up, and he goes, how's that? And the bouncer goes, Andrew, you can come in but don't start anything. Tonight I'm just going to give a short talk about three things. One's going to be our little HL12. The other one's about Lou Mer, the bit I knew of Lou, and just a few incidents that happened with Bulldogs in our area. Now HL12, Dr. Fitzhuber went to work for the Lands Company and designed a tractor with a hot bowl. And it was started in 1916 but had to stop because armaments were more important than tractors or engines. So they stopped to build stuff for the war effort. The first Bulldog of HL12 was actually a horse-drawn stationary engine. So what you see out there of the HL12 was just like an engine on 4 wheels to tow around. Then they designed it for self-traction so that, because the Lands Company was old by this stage, he could pull a thrasher and a straw trusser or a baler or whatever, and that tractor was designed to come out in 1921, which it did. And that one of ours out there was imported to Australia by a retired Dutch sea captain who used it in Gippsland. It was one of 3 that come to Australia. One went to Tasmania, and a guy by the name of Nathan Briggs has just found the chassis of it at an abandoned sawmill, but there's no sign of the motor, so they don't know whether it was scrapped or what happened to it. The other one went to New Guinea and was used over there as a stationary engine, but was brought back to Brisbane, and the engine was taken off and put on a barge to drive a winch, and on this barge, and it sank. So it's somewhere in the Brisbane River. That one of ours, Dad got the chassis off Lou Mer at his workshop. It was sitting there, and it sort of intrigued him. Every time he went there, it just sat there, and he thought it had his name on it, so he brought it. And then Lou said, well, I know where the motor is. and it happened to be at Winolda, which is up near Elmore. And Bill Jacobson had the motor, and Alan's here, I think, tonight. And that's Bill's son. And they made a deal to swap it for a KL silo engine. So he swapped the motor, brought it home, put it together. Dad took it to the first rally in Warragnaville in 1972. And Lou Murr, his wife, and Bill Jacobson attended, and we had still got the photos of that today.
For me, the first Kelly and Lewis tractor was the first tractor on our farm from a small town in Avoca, central Victoria. And that's why the Kelly and Lewis is special for me. But through it, we'll also see whilst the Lands tractor is important as well. And we've already heard from Tim, and I remember it was around about 1979, somewhere there. It was with my father. He didn't tell me where we were going. We were travelling in the back of the Toyota FJ45, and I was on the back. There wasn't room for me in the front, and we stopped at this place called Warwickmobile, and the tractor rally was on. And I could not believe how many Bulldogs were in the one place. And it's the first time that I saw the HL12 that Tim made mention of. And I think about what today would mean to other younger ones. I was infected with the Bulldog virus back then, and I wonder how many others are infected by it today from seeing all those tractors, not just being here, but to see the semi-trailers, trucks moving around Victoria, getting here. How many minds has that experience already blown up, and what is it going to play out for the rest of the lives for others?